Hello, everybody. It's Deloaded here, and this is kind of an emergency episode of the Dawn Fear podcast. We have with us a bunch of different members from all around the 2B2T community to talk about the 1.19 update emergency. All of us have different perspectives. We all represent different parts of the community, but we're going to put aside our differences and just have a roundtable discussion about this issue. So I'm going to start with introductions. We have myself. My name is Deloaded. I represent Dawnfear, which is one of the server's largest building groups. We have Sirach Drip here with us, who...
Hello. My name is
Sirach, can you...
Sirach.
Yeah, you go ahead and introduce yourself.
I've been around since 2019. I mainly play with Astral, and I also play a good bit of 9B as well.
Okay. Hermetic Lock, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Hermetic Lock, a relatively new player, joined in 2016. Done a lot of interesting things.
Surely everyone's heard of Hermetic Lock out there. We also have Orson with us here.
Hello. I'm Orson, leader of the fifth column.
Yes.
Probably Grief Cubase.
Orson represents kind of the griefer side of the community. We also have Pasto here from SBA.
Yeah, I joined in March 2020. I represent the Spawn Builders Association. Hello to all my fans out there.
We have Soiled Cold with us here, and he is going to kind of represent the shop side of 2B2T.
Yep, 2016 player, mostly into shops and stuff.
And we also have Totorak, who is a Spawn Mason, and go ahead and introduce yourself, Totorak.
Hello, it is me, Totorak. I technically joined in 2012, and I'm representing the Spawn Masons as much as none of them want me to do this. But since Entropy can't be here and Joey can't be here, I'm the best you have, so hello.
Right. So, and all of us, you know, we come from very different spheres in the community, but we're just here to talk about the update, how we feel about it, how our members and our friends feel about it. Everyone in the comments, you know, comment below how you feel about it. Boost this video as much as you can. This discussion, I mean, you know, Housemaster probably isn't going to see this, to be honest. But if he did see it, you know, let's make this something where anyone can look at this and see, okay, this is how the 2B2T community really feels about it. We have a broad range of opinions here. So let's just kind of go around in a circle, and we can say how we feel about the update, how we feel about the changes that were made, and then what we think the community response, or what you think the community response should be, and then we can have a discussion about it. So, Sirach, you can go ahead first.
So, overall, I think most people are going to have a very negative opinion, since, you know, a good portion of the mainstream items were reverted to being significantly less than what they are.
Oh, maybe
But
we should
honestly,
maybe we should specify what the
oh yes.
people watching may not know what all was done.
So
was way
a lot
worse
of what
than-
happened
Way worse than the announcement.
was, yeah, pearls were reverted, coarse fruit, tipped arrows, golden carrots, shulker shells, bottles of enchanting, coarse fruit, dragon eggs, diamond blocks, beacons, pretty much any redstone items, name tags, chest stacks, brewing supply items, enchanting tables, end crystals, fireworks, golden carrots. The list just goes on and on about stuff
Even
that's been
diamond
reverted.
blocks, even diamond blocks were reverted.
Yeah.
Fireworks, and in addition, and that isn't the only thing that happened. Additionally, the anti-cheat has supposedly been made much stricter,
Yes.
and anti-X-ray measures have been put in place.
Yeah.
And
think-
we're on 1.19.
And that too. You know,
honestly, I feel like though the item changes aren't that egregious compared to the old chomp trimming. In my opinion, I think that is the most severe change to 2B as a whole.
Wait, Sirac, you think that even chunks that have existed for like 0.1 seconds that will never be loaded again? Do you really think that's such a big deal?
Well, I mean, it's not that, but I mean, you can go 20,000 down the overworld and find new chunks that are 119 chunks when there's been a 256k world download. So in that sense, you know, an entire 128 positive and 128k negative has been completely loaded.
As far as I know, anything that are in those like large world downloads are not touched. This is purely for stuff like past 1 million that they technically exist in the server files, but will just like never have a player go to it again. Like
yes,
those things in the world downloads.
20k in the overworld. I've physically been to those locations.
Okay, let's we can get into this part later about this particular issue, but Sirac,
I didn't know it was happening that close to spawn.
What do you think, Sirac? What do you think the community response to this should be, in your opinion?
I think, no matter what, I think the community is going to have a negative outlook on it simply because, you know, their items that they might or might not have worked hard for have been changed. But overall, I think it is a healthy change for the server to have the items be reverted in the way they are and have the, I guess, farming meta become more of a mainstream thing.
Wow. I didn't
That's a pretty nuanced take. Yeah, I kind of agree.
Yeah. Same.
Okay.
Like, having bases that have to have, like, a massive amount of infrastructure before any building can happen, like, people might disagree with that being a cool thing or something they want to participate in. That's fine. But I personally think that's a really, really good change for the server as a whole.
That is a blessed opinion, and I've heard so many people raging today that their stuff is removed. And
the number of people I've seen coping and just being generally upset about the changes is astounding.
People are saying, "Oh, it sets a precedent. It sets a precedent." Guys, you've gone 13 years without your stuff being reverted.
No, I have a completely different perspective here. I mean,
well,
one of the
Orson,
reasons
would you like to go next?
Sure. I mean, like, one of the reasons I joined 2B was because of the lack of, like, largely the lack of intervention. You know, this is not a story about, you know, the admin. This is a story about us, the players, right? And everybody in this has a role to play, whether or not you're a builder or a Crystal PvPer or a griefer or whatever you're doing, right? You're just, or if you're just one of those people that are like, you know, sitting around in chat, spamming, right? So I guess, like, there's this cultural and historical break, right? The admin has intervened in a really big way, and I don't think it was like, you know, when he's done this in the past, it's largely been for, you know, the technical health of the server so that the story can continue for the actual players. But in this sense, he's really stepped in and said, you know, all of these things that you have, whether you've gained them, like those gains are ill-gotten or otherwise, they're now not yours, right? Like, I'm going to take from you personally. So I kind of see it as like, you know, it's not the precedent, because I think that's like, what precedent is it? Like, Housemaster will, like, you know, there's many stories of like people building bigger item sorters. I think there was one at your base, Sirac. And, you know, he comes in and, well, edits that shit out, right? And he's done that, but he's done that for the health of the server. Now, you might argue that, you know, nerfing the economy and nerfing these items and removing these illegals and whatever is for the health of the server. But is it for the health of the server's culture, in his view, because of literally Mojang investigating 2B2T recently for EULA violations, or is it for our benefit? And I think it's for his benefit, not for our benefit.
Here's the thing, though, about that is, call it pure speculation, it is, but I feel like someone has recently bought the server as a whole, and they want to, I'm trying to think of the right word to say for this. I guess they want to
clean up the server.
Yeah, like cleanse the server and make it more friendly for Minecraft EULA so they can continue to make money off of the
But
server
see,
in the
that's
long
bad
run.
though. That's like ruining the spirit of anarchy, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you can say that, but then there are other servers like 9B, for example. Would you consider 9B19 an anarchy server?
I haven't played enough 9B to tell you.
Fair enough. But, like, on 9B, for example, there's at least a yearly dupe for the anniversary building competition.
Yeah, look, dupes, no dupes, I don't know, but let's bring
I
some
don't really
other.
care what happens on. I don't really care what happens on other servers, Sarah. Like,
Yeah.
I care what happens on this one.
This is supposed to be a
Yeah.
discussion
So, like-
specifically about 2B. We can talk about other anarchy servers at another time. Okay, I want to get some more voices in on this. Let's let Soiled Cold talk about it. He kind of represents the shops, so
Well, even though I do like, I don't know, I'm kind of mixed. I have a mixed opinions about the whole, wiping items and stuff. Because even though someone, I forgot who said it, but it's like all the items people earned it through hard work and stuff. Most likely not. Most people found these stashes, stash hunting, or just bought it. Like I don't think anyone had like a whole shulker full of like redstone blocks. And to be honest, like recently, like Microsoft, like I was playing on this server called Incraft recently, and it's like, yeah, what is it, Hearts of Iron 4 like remake on Minecraft, and Microsoft, they just straight up banned the IP. Like you couldn't even connect via the main launcher, right? And the server was only up for 2 weeks, and just because it was a little bit toxic, right? So just imagine like the stuff that Housemaster has to deal with, like 2Bs full of Sawaskas, full of toxicity. Like he doesn't want to lose his like main source. Like he does, if the IP gets banned, like people just can't connect, right? Nobody's gonna go out of their way to try to connect via like, a new IP or like a new launcher, right? Because
interesting.
that's what they did with Incraft. Like you had to connect via a new IP, and like it just didn't really make much sense. The player base died like instantly.
Okay, okay. So let me dig into that point a little bit. Are you trying to say that Housemaster needed to make these changes in order to stop the server from getting shut down?
Well, House had to do something so that he had to like be what is it, EULA compliant,
But he
right?
just like nerfed everyone's stuff though. He didn't. That has nothing to do with EULA
Well,
compliance.
you could also, I don't know how, I haven't read it, like honestly, but like I don't know what exactly Microsoft's stance is on, item selling. Like I know like there's something going on with like Hypixel coins, like people sell Hypixel coins. I know that's like completely like bannable, it's not even allowed, but Hypixel still lets it go on, but like they ban people for it.
You can
Like
still
yeah.
sell items though. There's just less items to sell now.
Yeah. Like you should also like keep in mind that like some of these items that were mentioned, like, he limited, what did you say? Hoppers, droppers, pistons, sticky pistons,
There's a
like
full
that.
list in the
Yeah, I see
chat.
it. Yeah, like that stuff, like, that could cause a good amount of lag. It's not like people haven't tried lagging the server before with those items specifically. Some of these other items, like, obviously it doesn't make any sense why. Like, I don't agree with
Golden
it.
carrots? Like, come
Yeah.
on, man.
Like those, like that stuff I could agree with. Like,
Yeah.
what's the point of doing that? But like some of these other items, like, okay, like to an extent I could kind of agree. Like those items are used to like maliciously like lag the server, mess up the server. Like,
What was
it makes
wrong with
sense.
how it was before, where if you lagged the server, you just like,
Got prio banned.
yeah, like I'm okay with that. Honestly, if you're building a lag machine, fine. Prior
Well,
ban.
some people. Well, I can. Okay, first-hand experience. I was at this base and I was just building a normal rest. Well, it wasn't normal. It was like a huge redstone machine, right? Not a lag
Okay,
machine
it's the lag
whatsoever.
machine. It was a lag machine.
It wasn't a lag machine. It wasn't a lag machine. It was just a really funny.
It just
build,
happened to
right?
be lagging the server.
Yeah,
It
I
was
don't.
just
I feel like
touched on
that's not a
earlier.
great excuse. Like
It
in those
wasn't
cases,
lagging the
it's
server.
kind of justified.
I love this, like, people crying about Hausemasters, and I was like, were you lagging the server at the time? And they're like, yeah, I was. It's
I
like,
was not
okay.
lagging the server. I didn't even turn it on. I turned it like it was somebody else that turned it on, and I wasn't lagging the server, but it just turned on, and then all of a sudden one
I
of my
mean,
accounts
sure,
got
you
private.
placed the redstone torch next
Yeah,
to
exactly.
it. It wasn't you that turned it on. It was like redstone mechanics and like
Exactly.
code running.
Soiled.
turned it
Oh my
on.
god.
So there's
This
one
was
thing that
touched on.
you left out, and these changes, the item reduction is going to like completely devastate shops.
Oh, 100%.
Would you
Yeah.
agree? Okay.
I was talking to one of these, I forgot the shop guy, but like his whole stash, like he didn't even get, like, it wasn't even reduced. They just wiped out his stash.
Right.
and it was just like chests, empty chests. Like it didn't even make sense why it was wiped. It was just him. I couldn't find anyone else that had their chest wiped. But what is it?
We had a lot.
Now
Yeah,
that being said, if you're Housemaster, you might want the shops to be devastated because you might want them to shut down. But then again, like, okay, but the solution to that isn't to just take everyone's shit. The solution is to just prio ban anyone that advertises selling things, right? If you want to stop people from selling things, make a rule that says you're not allowed to sell in-game items, and then suddenly people don't do it anymore. You can't just take everyone's shit and then say, "Oh, I took all your shit because I needed to stop item sellers."
You could even so you could say the same thing about Hypixel. Hypixel says you can't sell Skyblock coins, but people still do it. They just don't advertise it on the server itself, right? Like people can just make new Discord accounts, just hide it, and make new accounts. Like that won't stop. That's not going to stop anything, right?
That's still going to happen though. It's
called the gray market.
It's
no
still
matter
going to
what,
happen.
people are always going to be selling items.
Yeah, like
if there's a market for it, people are going to buy and sell items.
Well, okay, but how does that, like, okay, I fully get that. Like, people are going to work around. People are going to find workarounds. But given that is now an established fact, I don't think you can use a Housemaster trying to get rid of shops as justification for Housemaster taking 64 golden apples and turning them into 1 golden apple, or taking 64 fireworks and turning them into 16 fireworks. It's just not.
In my eyes, I think like a lot of the items that have been changed around and adjusted to be significantly less than what they were, I feel like a lot of those items were items that were bought and sold in shops most of the time. Like fireworks were probably the #1 item that were sold in any shop.
And Deloaded, you said this fucks over everyone, but I think that's actually
does.
That's a pro. Like it fucks over everyone equally. He's not taking from one shop or deleting one stash. Everyone is getting wiped out at the exact same percent. So it's really like everyone has kept their relative wealth, like relative to each other.
Yeah, well, you
It's
okay?
just-
So you can argue
I heard something back there. Did you guys get is Gringotts looking a little lighter, Turek?
I heard. I mean, like all the Ender chests. are gone.
Yeah, we lost 40 million Ender chest.
Yeah.
Ooh.
We all lost a shit ton in their chest.
There goes Eclipse too.
So in that respect, you can argue, to your point, Totorak, you can definitely make the argument that this is fair, but just because it's fair doesn't mean it should have been done.
I have a few more stuff to contribute when it comes to the economy reset. I have a few points. First of all, many other games have done economy resets in the past. Like, this is not an unprecedented thing. And I know people will say, like, oh, this is not like those games. But games like Rust, games like DayZ, games like Ark, and games like Star Citizen
This is not
regularly...
a game, this is my whole life, Turek.
Yeah,
My
this
whole
is
life.
not any of those games, though.
I know, I understand that, but I'm just saying, in terms of like a thing that game servers do, it's not that and like I play all of these games, and so I play a decent bit of Rust.
But are those anarchy servers?
Rust is pretty anarchy.
Yeah, it's pretty anarchy.
It is.
It is pretty anarchy.
You just
But
can't hack.
I know the obvious thing people will say is, oh, this game is not Rust. It's not, Ark. But like he's doing it at a really critical time. The server hasn't updated in 6 fucking years. Pardon my language, but the last time it updated was, mid 2017 after 1.12. It's been 6 years, and if there's ever going to be an economy reset once ever, we'll see. It's going to be 6 years later when they upgrades to the new versions.
Yeah. Okay, but like, why though? Couldn't Housemaster have just not done this? Like
The economy, everyone knows the economy's. Well, if other people want to talk, sorry.
there is no
I'm kidding.
economy. It's like an
Well, no,
anarchy
there is.
server.
That is the well.
Like there
It's
is
so
a market.
bad. People have so many fucking items. It's like it's nowhere close to resembling a normal Minecraft server. And for a lot of people, that's like the draw of it, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, though, is like it's not really distributed well. Like there's only a couple main shops that actually have the items that are like those people are actually willing to sell it, right? Like I was talking to a couple stash hunters recently. You cannot find any stashes. Like you have to go into the millions to find a single stash, right? And like some of these guys, like they've been stash hunting for like a couple years now, and like now like all of a sudden you just can't find stashes, right? like even like now with this like reduction of all these items, it's just gonna become way harder to find a bunch of items, right? Like people are gonna be forced to play Minecraft like normally, like make farms, actually go find items. Like,
Are you
even though I
saying
don't,
that's a good thing?
well, no, I don't agree
Yes.
that like.
That is a good thing.
I could 50-50. Like from a shop perspective, it's kind of like messed up that he just like wipes all the items, right? Like some of these people, like I know a couple people buy a bunch of like items, like a bunch of like dubs, and then just resell it later. Right now, that all their dubs are basically worthless. But at the same time, like House never guaranteed like those items are always gonna like he never guaranteed you're supposed to sell those items. Like that's not a normal Minecraft thing, right? So like reselling, you can expect that in a game like TF2, right? Like it's made into the game, but people like they sell these items and all that stuff, right?
I think we can agree that shops are cringe and shouldn't exist.
Oh my
Very
god.
true.
Orson, let him finish his point.
Yeah, but like the thing is like like I'm gonna just keep it simple. Like shops, just like they have a large amount of the items, and they're like the main people actually selling items, right? You don't see like these big groups like bases, like they don't sell their blocks, they just use it for themselves, right?
So true.
So the main people, like I forgot who said it, but someone about like everyone's getting messed up equally. Like the shops, like they're getting messed up like really badly because now like all their inventory is gone. Like some just lost the items completely. They don't even have shulkers anymore, right? So it's messed up on that perspective. But like the shops, like it wasn't like it's like a small group of people. It's not a huge percentage of the 2B population that are actually like shop owners or like sellers.
Well, imagine you
right?
just bought a big stash from one of these shops, and now suddenly, a large chunk of it's gone.
Imagine
That
if you
would be
bought it
really
and then the stash and then the
that's-
shop owner stole it back. Like, welcome to anarchy. Like I have like no sympathy
Yeah, but
for
this,
that.
but this is not. We're not talking about another player finding it and taking it. We're talking about like the in-game equivalent of God showing up and taking your stuff. Like,
I
Yeah,
don't know
but
if this is on
God
topic,
has
but-
always
It's not like
come up.
this is the first
God
time
has
that
always
it's
turned up and taken stuff, right? Like he's done that before. But like,
imagine
think-
if you put $200 in your backpack and you walk to school, and then you get to school, you open your backpack, and now you only have $20, and there's a little note inside, and it says, "I redistributed your wealth. Thank you,
This just
God."
sounds like socialism with extra steps, bro. Like
Yeah, like that's what this
That would
is,
only make
though.
sense if the U.S. government chopped a zero off of every single bill in the country.
Like all of
Yeah.
our stuff just mysteriously disappeared, and it's like,
I don't know if this is on topic, but I don't think shops are cringe. I think they're a necessary evil. Like if you just join the server and you want to spend $20 and get a few kits just to like get you off the ground, that's fine.
yeah.
oh,
shops are
you
part
what
of
you
the
should do
ecosystem.
is like inside a bunch of bases and like get your own shit.
Okay, let's
I
get
think what you
someone that
well,
hasn't
no,
talked yet.
shops aren't a bad thing. Like it's a good thing. Like most servers have shops. Like Hypixel has shops. Like who else has shops? Every
It's just
single
like a
anarchy
gray
server.
market on 2B. It's the definition of like a gray market.
Hold on, let's
Yeah,
get
like-
someone who hasn't talked yet. Herm, how do you feel about this?
I've been so pleased with the update, to be honest.
Oh my God.
And I know that that's like really controversial because everybody's been rage baiting in the comments and on Reddit. But it was actually less bad than I thought it would be. When he said that he was removing totems and end crystals, I thought that they were like actually just not going to be on the server like ever again. Like screw you guys, no more totems, no more crystals. We're back to shield combat and like, using axes and whatever else people would do. And that kind of excited me. But I think, I've been playing 2B2T in a way where like nothing really matters, right? Since like the 11.11 do, nothing has really mattered because I could just, open up my ender chest and be an invincible god again anytime. And this forces, the player base to actually like do stuff again. And the timing of it is pretty decent with 1.19 coming, and there's already a bunch of new stuff in the game.
Yep.
It's going to encourage new players to come in and be at an equal footing. I'm going to be able to travel through the Nether in peace at 0-0 until new kids get beds and start bed bombing everybody from the new sheep that spawn. But I'm really optimistic. I think that the changes are an overall good. It's going to be weird traveling vast distances again without a lot of fireworks. But we're going to be able to start firework farms, right? And like actually play the game how it was intended. I think at the crux of it, it's like anytime any change happens, people are going to be upset. Obviously, this one was done without anybody, knowing about it. I like have seen a lot of comments of people saying that he should have given us heads up or told us about the changes that were going to happen. But I think the point was that he didn't want anybody to know about these changes until they occurred, because then he would have prepared, right? It's 2B2T is not a democracy, clearly.
Yeah, this obviously had over a year of planning going into it.
Okay, how does Posto? You haven't really had a chance to get a word in yet. How do you feel about it, and how does SBA feel about it?
Well, one of the things I feel about it is that it's fucking over the base hunters really bad, since the chunk trails, they don't exist anymore. And they basically have to walk everywhere to go, because half their elytras and their rockets is gone now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really worth it to base hunt anymore anyway, because there's no stashes left to really find out and, resell or keep, since most of the items are gone.
That's a good point.
Basically, the whole game is better for like normal players.
Well, also the other thing that's cocked is Crystal PvP is just gone now. Like no one's going to do that anymore.
Good.
Right.
Some people may celebrate that, but there's a chunk of the community that focuses solely on PvP, and they're completely left out in the cold by this.
That was always like probably the worst part of the community. Like those guys,
I fully agree.
Those guys, they eat their own. They dox and swat each other.
They're bad.
They're primarily the people like sharing like exploitation material on the server. But this is like what I don't get, right? Like on that note, it's like, the amount of times I have personally emailed the admin to report like people doing like actually evil shit on the server, if you catch my drift, where like stuff that should not be created or sold, right? Like, is like being done in chat. But the people who get banned, cryo-banned, or banned from the server, they're the people who like piss the admin off, not people who are actually doing bad things. So like, is Daddy intervening? It kind of gives me like the feeling that really he's intervening because his hand is being forced in some way, not because he wants to make a better community.
How does Mojang EULA intervention force him to delete a bunch of the old chunks, or how does it force him to disable X-ray?
From what I understand, like let's take the item, like the shops being completely obliterated today, right? Basically, the way that Mojang thinks about EULA violations is that the EULA violations are the admin's responsibility. So it's kind of like if you host a website, right, and you're a news website, and this has been like tried in court, like all over the world, right? If you create the platform, and someone publishes on that platform, they have like the person, and you slander somebody or like whatever it might be. It's actually both the person who slanders and the person who owns the platform's like responsibility for like the publishing of that material. And the way that the Mojang team treat the EULA violations is like if there is violating material or violating activities, it's actually the server operator's responsibility to moderate it. So if you're out there like, you're a shop owner, you're not actually allowed to sell those items because Mojang like technically owns them, and they say that you're not allowed to sell them. And so if you're the server admin where this activity is happening, you have a server that is offering for money, you allow to run a server that is offering for money to get items and game features that everyone should have access to equally. And so if you take that perspective, that very hardline perspective on the Mojang EULA, the change sort of makes sense.
Because it violate the EULA.
Not really. I mean, that's just a bug in the game mechanics, right? It's not the duping, it's the selling of the items that's the problem.
Well, he's
It's
cracking down on that too. He's talking about patching dupes really faster this time.
Yeah, well, I don't
All I'm
know.
hearing during all this, sorry, all I'm hearing during all of this is you shouldn't be upset at Housemaster for making these changes. You should be upset with how fucking stupid Minecraft is being ran nowadays at the top level.
That's a fair
Oh, I
point to
agree.
make. That's a fair point to make.
I will say there is a rule in Bedrock that if you're abusing exploits, hence duping, that is a bannable offense, but it's written in such a vague way that they can ban you and not specify that it's specifically for that.
Interesting. So let's talk about some of the other changes. I mean, we focused a lot on the item reversions so far. Let's talk a little bit about the other changes that were made.
Well,
We were talking about the chunk, like the world generation stuff. That's the next big thing that people
let's dig
hate.
into that, because that is a huge change that we haven't touched on very much.
Dude, it's such an awesome time to have a base that's incredibly far out. Like,
That
you're
is true.
locked in. It's like you've been you've been godfathered in
yeah.
to the
This is like
system
a
where now
once-
nobody can find you. And, like, that's kind of awesome. You know, and on one hand, Housemaster, like, screwed over a lot of old players. But if you've got an active base going right now, like, there's some sort of, like, I don't know.
My initial reaction, my gut reaction, was to be kind of outraged, because I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe they're deleting all these old chunks. But the more I think about it, the more I am kind of thinking, alright, maybe it's not that
There's like
bad.
reprimations for old players that have gone out far. I mean, it was kind of bullshit as soon as new chunks became an exploit that everybody had. Like, the whole meta changed, right? It was no longer just about how far you are. It's also about, like, how clean your chunks.
But that's
are
fine.
going
Look,
to-
that's part of what made 2B2T so cool and interesting was the arms race of different hacked clients and different exploits and all this crazy stuff that people could do. And I just feel like the server is not going to be that way anymore, because things are going to get patched so fast now, and people will get prio banned for finding workarounds. And I just think that's and this is me as not even someone that does this style of gameplay. I'm a builder, but I fully recognize that that was a big portion of the community, and those people are getting screwed by this. I think there's no question that
I think
It's going to be
another-
really interesting to see if Housemaster really follows through with, like, banning people that find a duplication glitch.
God, imagine. That would be horrible.
I think another part of I guess it's more of a niche part of the community, but I know of a group of people that will go through and find rare or, like, different types of like terrain and stuff that would be considered rare. Like, for example, I was aware of there was a specific set of chunks that was, like, 30,000 out from spawn, and it was on like a chunk border to where ocean would generate on one side and then it'd be, normal terrain on the other side. But how that chunk would work is it was in a save state to where if you destroyed the blocks in that area and then went out a render distance of it and came back in, they would revert back to that exact save state. And I think that these types of changes remove having those, like, special little areas that, it's like, a select few group of people know about and can, appreciate, since that's something that's rare on a server that's been around for, 10, 11 years, however long it's been now.
Another thing that's getting fucked over is highway ripper crews, because they don't have e-chest anymore to repair the highways. So yeah.
Oh, that's a
enough.
really good point. I didn't think of that. That's gonna
'Cause-
happen.
Yeah, highways are rip.
Yep.
Oh,
all
that's gonna be
the-
so bad.
hmm
Wither skulls are gone too, so it's going to be harder to
I mean, you could always.
get rid of them. You can farm wither skulls,
Yeah.
yeah, but then and withers also are a big pain in the ass right now. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Because gapples are
Very
gone.
much so.
Apples are gone, and so are crystals.
So just don't go to spawn, basically, guys. Just stay away from spawn.
There's no
Okay.
easy way to get rid of them.
Hey, I'm just sharing my screen real quick. I am dealing with the most ridiculous amount of mobs I've ever seen, and they keep on coming. Like, is this normal?
Yeah.
No, that's another change. They
Yeah.
increased mob spawning to like crazy levels.
No,
What
Good
are
change.
you?
the
They
mod
changed
Finally,
it to
mine-
vanilla.
the mod
fine.
changes have been done because it used to be like per chunk, I believe, but now it's per player in the render distance. So
Right.
like
Finally, it's behaving
2,
like
3,
real
4
Minecraft.
players in a certain area, and in 112 it would only be that number of entities were allowed in a chunk. But now it's a certain amount per player, so you can have 4 times the number of mobs in a certain area at the vanilla rates, which was previously significantly reduced.
Yeah.
Are you
I mean,
guys
look,
seeing my
it
screen?
is more realistic, but I can't say that it isn't annoying. It
Honestly,
Closer to vanilla Minecraft.
it is
It's a lot closer to vanilla Minecraft, and I think it's a good change because it allows for a significant increase in the ability to farm materials.
Can we just talk about the good changes for a sec? Because so many people are focusing on negative changes. And there are some stupid BS negative changes. But
Yes.
stuff like animal spawning, not just mob spawning, but animal spawning is back. Monster spawnings.
Yeah.
He disabled phantoms, which is great. Fuck phantoms.
Yes.
He
Redstone
essentially,
as well.
yes, he's essentially bringing back the map art community
That's
with the
true.
way he's handling randomized map IDs. So I think people who are all doom and gloom about this, I think are rather short-sighted and overreacting.
Well, there are some
agree.
there are some good changes that I agree with. The Phantoms thing, I agree with you on that, and I agree with the map art change. What I don't agree with is reducing everyone's items. That's the big thing. That's my sticking point right now.
I kind of agree, and you know what else I don't agree with is the anti-X-ray, which I think is such a non-issue.
Yeah.
People who use X-ray, first of all, you could still use an X-ray texture pack, like we all did back in 2015.
On top of that as well, it doesn't even work.
And it's just going to fuck over people like Turban who do archival stuff. I think the anti-X-ray stuff is the biggest misstep in this whole thing.
Well, it's look, it's anarchy. Like, you gotta let people use cheats. That's the whole thing. Like, it's
Anti-X-ray though.
Anti-X-ray is so against the spirit. I don't know.
it's against the spirit of anarchy. That's right.
Could you elaborate on how that the anti-X-ray affects world downloading? I wasn't aware that it affected that.
Look, I'm not 100% on what this is right now, so I could be speaking out my ass, and I might regret saying this in the future, but apparently it's world downloads are obfuscated and not correct because of anti-X-ray measures. So as of right now, Turban is no longer taking any submissions to the archive until this is figured out.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Because when you download, the underground area becomes random ores.
I think so, but I could be wrong about that.
Because that's
so
how
I'm not
it
going
works.
to
Like,
elaborate.
if you X-ray, it shows you ore, but it's like fake. It's ore that isn't really there.
Yeah, historically, that is how anti-X-ray has worked.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be honest, I haven't played the server today. It happened less than 12 hours ago. I haven't gotten
like
it.
there are some good changes. Like getting rid of phantoms, that was 100% necessary because they're just gonna lag the server out.
Controversial opinion. What if you're gaslighting yourselves into dick riding Housemaster?
Yeah,
right
I think a lot of like
I'm rolling my eyes at that.
I think this panel has been very seeing both
Somehow
sides
very pro
of like
about
I
it.
think there were a lot more people that were pro.
Yeah,
I don't know, playing
it's
defense
the
for
opposite
Housemaster
of
than
I
I
think
thought.
how the community is reacting to it, which is interesting.
The community is like extreme negative backlash right now.
I mean,
Guys,
Yeah,
there's
like,
boycotts for God's sake. There's like
I think there's so much of this.
boycotts.
So much of this shouldn't could have changed. Let's just put it this way: there's so much about this update that could have changed, right? And of course, the meta is going to change. Did he need to take all the items?
He didn't.
No.
He
Yeah.
definitely didn't. Like, think about
He
it. If
didn't need to.
this update
Also-
had happened and every single change he made was still there except the items, I don't think people would even be that mad.
No,
Can I just
I
say
don't think
this
so.
to you guys personally?
Yeah.
Like, not to the podcast or whatever, but like to people in this chat. Give it a year. There's going to be another dupe. There's going to be a way to get more items. Like, just give it a year and things will be back to normal.
But
Yeah.
the problem is now, even if you find a dupe, like he's threatening to ban you. Like
People are
Yeah.
bailing. Dude, people are bailing. I would not
Well,
be
I
think-
surprised if half 2B's population is just gone after this.
I
Yeah.
feel like personally, I think that even if half of the current community disappears, 1,000,001 new people are going to come in because it's the oldest anarchy server, quote unquote anarchy, and it's a brand new update that hasn't happened in 6 years. So there's going to be a lot of new changes that a lot of people are going to want to participate in. And on top of that as well, I also think the community is being very short-sighted when it comes to how they're viewing the overall changes. Like 9 out of the 10 changes, for example, are, I think, overall good for the server's health. And I think that they are beneficial to the community as a whole in the long run. And I don't think people are taking the time to properly process that and realize that it's a good thing overall.
Hold on.
100%,
But wouldn't
100%.
it be better? But wouldn't it be better if they just didn't take everyone's stuff, though?
No, that's the one thing I agree with you on, is that
Oh my
Okay.
god.
there should have been some form of...
Because that's really all it boils down to.
So,
Like,
I don't
that's
know how
why
to
people are
explain it.
mad. That's
Do you know
why
what I'm
There are
already
a lot of
sick of?
people waiting. A lot of people waiting for this update so that they can, re-find like the love and the passion that they had for this awful server. And yeah, right. And so many people that you talk to a bunch of people in pre-June community, like they'll like just hanging out. They're like, yeah, when it updates, I'm coming back. I believe there's like lots of people in the Masons Totaract that I've spoken to that are just like, hanging on for that update because they want to do some cool things on the server, right? And I don't feel like they should lose all of their. I don't think the trade. I think it's a pretty poor trade. Like, if you're like building a product, right? If you're building a product and you have to take away something that's very valuable, you have to exchange it for something that's like much more valuable, right? You can't just take away things. And I don't think, sadly, the update is that like is valuable enough. Like, I think people really needed their items. Like there are like groups on the server that are like dormant that have their items that they got some one way or another, whether they were duping it or they stole it or they collected it themselves. You're gonna log in and see that it's gone, and it's like, oof.
It was
The
just
motivation is
unnecessary.
just-
It was so
Or send-
unnecessary.
Or send
Yeah.
one thing. If it wasn't the items, it would have been something else.
Why?
These people who are in pre-June and Masons, like you said, I know so many people, probably at least 20 or 30, who are like, yep, I'm waiting for the server to update to come back. These people are going to buy priority, play for a month, and then quit. Because they haven't been playing the server for years. They don't care about it. They just want to like see their little update, and they're going to quit. And so you shouldn't really care about what these people think.
So they would have
Their opinion-
they would have found something else to be outraged about. Is that what
Exactly,
you're saying?
exactly. If it wasn't the items, it would have been something else. It would have been some.
But what
other-
about the existing players who like have stuck through just with Hausemasters, so paying their prior queue, expecting an update? Like if you're going to take the Joey Coconut like perspective, this is a business and you guys are coping about it. Okay, like let's take that perspective. Like, is this a good business decision? Absolutely fucking not, right? Because you have all of these people who are your paying customers who are waiting for this update. They're still paying you. Then you take away all their stuff. They're just not going to play anymore.
It's just
so like, what's
so
the point of the
unnecessary.
update? What's the point in like spending any time doing this update if you're just going to piss off your most loyal retards and they're going to go and play other servers or quit the game
Wanna know why?
altogether? And
Want to know why? Because there's going to be
Why?
more loyal retards that come in. And you know what I'm already sick of hearing that I haven't even heard a single time yet? I'm already sick of hearing, oh yeah, I joined in 2023 after the server updates. Do you know how many times we're going to start to hear that over the next few years? We're going to hear it 1,000 times. There's going to be 1,000. For the 1,000 old fags who leave, be gone. Don't let their door hit them on the way out. We're going to get a lot more new life into the server.
I agree.
We're gonna start
I agree
hearing
with that.
about
Totoro.
pre-update and
Yeah,
post-update.
you're
Exactly.
probably
I
right.
was
That's going to become the new
Dude,
thing.
You're probably
I was saying this to
right,
Herm a
but that's
second ago.
sad.
This is 2B 3.0. This is the new update. It's not bad. It's just different.
Oh no,
2B
it's bad.
Yes.
It's
To
bad
be
for us.
okay, but the people who played pre 2016 thought that 2016 was bad. So
well,
you know,
possibly.
June 2016 was 2B 2.0, and we are now living in the era of 2B 3.0, and it's just different.
It's a completely different server every single time a major change happens.
I tamed
But
allies.
it was such an unnecessary thing, though. If they had just not done this, nobody would be mad right now.
Yeah, it hurts when the Band-Aid
I
gets ripped
completely
off.
disagree with people would not be mad. Sorry for talking over you.
It's fine. I was talking over you too. Look, it's a Band-Aid that's getting ripped off, and it hurts for everyone equally. So whatever.
Yeah.
So is your point like, okay, taking people's items was bad, but if you evaluate the whole picture, it's still it's not worst case scenario. The server's dead. Is that what you're saying?
That is my opinion personally, and not everyone in the Spawn Masons thinks that at all. And in fact, I think this is a very unpopular opinion in the Spawn Masons right now. It's very unpopular, and objectively, we just lost the most items out of anyone in the entire server.
Yeah,
we are the people who have lost the most.
Well, I actually feel sorry for you about that. Sorry, Todorek.
I agree with basically everything you said earlier, where you're saying, yeah, this isn't the end of the server. There's going to be thousands of new players who join, and they're not even going to know what happened. You're right. That's totally going to happen. But we're not talking about those people. Those are people who haven't even joined the server yet. We're talking about the existing players on the server, us people that have been sticking it out for years, waiting for this update. How do we feel about it? That's what this conversation is supposed to be about. So, 2B2T will live on. It's just a question of will it live on
just give it a year.
Us or not.
I mean, you could say the same thing. I wasn't actively playing, so I can't speak too much about it, but you could say the same thing about people in 2016.
That's an interesting comparison, the 2016 comparison, because this may be when
so many people left.
Yeah, this may be another turning point in the history of the server, especially if it starts up.
I mean, I hope it's one.
I think the Crystal PvPers are gone basically forever. The builders, it's a hit or miss. If they enjoyed 2B for being 2B, or if they enjoyed it because the groups that they ended up with basically gave them creative mode in survival.
I just want to bring something up.
Talking about that. Oh, go ahead.
You can go first.
Because we are the spawn builders. We actually build that spawn, so we're here because of the way we like for the anarchy, not because we have gun mode. We don't care. We get our bases griefed every week. But how we feel really about it is that we still lost most of our mats still, and we still lost gapples when we build next to lava. It's always great to have ender chest to repair the highways next to us when we build with obsidian. Diamond blocks. We can't rebuild fucking tools if we need so, because now tools are very limited. Shit like that. So even us, it's not that good for us to as an update. Still, yes, we have new blocks, which is great, but it's a hard to swallow pill, I guess.
It's not pleasant to have the Band-Aid ripped off.
Okay, let's hear what Soiled Cold had to say.
Well, I forgot, I think Todorek just said it, 2B2T 3.0 and, 2016, huge change. I'm assuming you're referring to the queue, whole new queue system and all that stuff.
Just everything that happened in 2016, a lot happened.
Yeah, and, well, the queue is one of the major things. Now you have to, wait in the queue to get in, prior queue. And, the old community I joined in 2016, I wasn't in the old community, but the old community at the time, they were all threatening to leave. There's they're not.
Well, no, wait. Do you remember Old Fag Q?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I wanted to mention. There was so much anger that House eventually just added Old Fag Q just to satisfy those people's needs.
To be fair, that was the old house.
Yeah. So.
Tell us about it, Herm. Tell us. Elaborate.
Yeah.
No comment.
Yep, that always happens.
Well, 2B2T has changed ownership since then, almost certainly.
So then, but what do you think? Do you think 2B might do the same? I mean, whoever's running it now, do you think they might do the same thing?
No.
Well, why do you think that?
If you guys want to put on your tinfoil hats, I think
all right.
some form of a corporation or an individual that has some interest or say in 2B something, someone recently has bought 2B, and I think that's why 119 has happened. Like, there is a dedicated dev team specifically for 2B now, and there wasn't before.
I think there has been a dedicated dev team for 2B for like
2B's
years.
always been like 4 people. It's been roughly 4 people. Yeah. But I don't know if it's more now or not.
Since like post 2016, there's been a dev team with like at least several people making plugins and stuff for the server, no question.
It's been public that the Camping Rusher actually monetarily invested like a shit ton into the server. The Camping Rusher personally invested into the queue system.
Yeah, he did. I think it's an interesting comparison to compare this to 2016, but okay, I want to push back a little bit because in 2016 there was a huge influx of new players driven by the YouTube algorithm and stuff. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. Like, okay, yes, there's going to be a decent number of new people that joined, especially if it goes back to regular uploads again. But we don't know if that's going to happen. What if Fit just uploads a couple videos and then he's back to the QSMP, and then 2B2T doesn't take off and explode and have this new wave of players? Then all you're left with is a bunch of old players who are upset about the changes, and they just quit. They go to other servers.
I mean, he didn't. I mean, Deloaded. He didn't. He hasn't created videos because there's nothing going on. Like, the community up until this point has been pretty dead. Like,
That's
people
true.
have been waiting for this update, right?
That's true. We don't know what story is going to respond to this with.
All right. I mean, I remember when I joined, like, it was only in 2019, and like there was some new project or some new like scheme or whatever it might be, some new faction drama, like every other day, right? And so it was just a great source of entertainment for like players, for people watching his channel. Like, it was great. And I think that we just don't have that. We just don't have that amount of activity going on and people doing great things. And maybe this is the chance to do that. So I don't think that I wouldn't count Fit out at this point.
Well, we just don't know. That's the point I'm making. We don't know for sure that that's going to happen, or if it's going to take off, or we just don't know.
If what Todorak said is true, right, and we're going to get this new influx of players, right, they're going to create their own stories, and so that's a good thing. I mean, one of the reasons why I've been looking forward to this update is like not the new blocks, but the new players. Like I want to mess around and like grief their bases and like inside all their groups, and you know, like that's super fun, right? But it only happens when you have new people join, right? And you get back to that, like, you know, that kind of peak activity, right? Like where the prior queue's like 350 people deep. We need to see a return to those days. So if it means that like everything gets wiped out and we get that activity back, I guess that's a good trade, but it's a big if, you know?
It is. Well, you guys are really like, I was so black-pilled on this coming into this conversation, and you guys are giving me glimmers of hope here. For the future.
There were entire discords of like 70 people in voice chats talking about going on strike.
That's true.
And
there's currently a Discord with 800 members.
We are definitely the dissenting opinion, right? I think it's a little bit weird that we're like the majority here, because by far we aren't the majority.
Yeah, when I put together this panel, I had no idea what people were going to say. I actually had no idea.
I thought I was going to have the unpopular opinion here, but maybe it just goes to show. Maybe it just goes to show that the community leaders know a bit fucking more than the.
I think a part of it as well.
I feel like that is actually part of it.
A lot of it is we just don't know. We don't know yet what's going to happen.
I think this is the dawn of a new age, and I
think a lot of it as well is that we are significantly more established as well, being the quote-unquote community leaders that we are.
Mm-hmm.
I personally wouldn't consider myself one, but, you know,
you're being too humble.
No,
Mostly
I don't
they
think
join-
I am one at all.
You're on the clout panel now.
Bro, if you're in this fucking panel, then you're pretty much really fucking important.
Right. You're so important.
I mean, I had one cool base 3 years ago, and that's it.
Better than most people.
Yeah, good point. Actually,
That's
I did
true.
have a pretty cool base recently, but that's off topic.
You guys know
That's
I've met
true.
over 30 people from T in real life.
Wow.
Over 30.
Cool.
That's like a world record or something.
I think I'm literally the most. I'm not going to start bragging here, but
You're the most
it's
IRL meter upper person award.
Yeah, how many people have you?
How many
lost
people in this
those with?
chat have met up with Todorak? Say I.
I-
It's just Herm and Orson.
It's just
D,
her.
D, I was so disappointed, D.
You know I'm still recording,
Yeah.
right?
I know. Sorry. I'll stop talking about that.
Okay, so is there any other change that we didn't talk about yet that anyone wants to bring up as positive or
Dude,
negative?
I have 2 owlies following me right now. Like, that is so cool.
Herm's just playing the
I don't even know
server.
what that is.
An
What is
alley?
that?
Let me. Here, can you? If I share my
Oh,
screen,
is that
will
that
you be able
fucking
to-
blue thing?
Dude, look
Yeah,
at these
yeah.
things.
Okay.
Look, the only cringe things that he's removing, just stay on topic. The only cringe things he's removing is the death messages being removed.
Oh, that's
Death messages,
another
death messages in green text are just like why? That's like the server culture. Why would you remove that? And that like health and hunger bars like that hack clients use that we could see like what armor people are wearing.
Well,
Yeah.
one of the things too with the Phantoms is that since he removed most of the bottle of enchanting, Elytras are basically all to repair now. So it fucks the base hunters even more.
Yeah.
Well, you know, they could just inside.
So,
directly.
Pasta, would you say, like, most of SBA is pissed about this?
It depends. I know Dan isn't. Bryson either. It depends really.
I can say, like, most of my members were really pissed.
Well, same for us. A lot of people are pissed.
I was
There's
telling
some-
them, like, hey, like, just chill, just wait, like, let's wait a few days, we'll see, maybe it gets reverted, like hold on a minute.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing as well.
Yeah.
I'm not really playing until I see like how it goes.
I'm just trying to
People
convince
in
people
the-
to wait.
Are you
People
guys
in the Masons
watching
are
this
threatening
right
to
now? Like,
quit.
do you see how cute this is?
Really?
Yeah.
So hear that,
There-
Housemaster? Everyone's threatening to quit. Fix this
There-
shit. Thank you.
This really is like a dividing line. There's some people who are like me that don't think it's first.
I think the basis of the issue is more that it was done in secrecy more than like
See, how
you
does
know,
that help,
public-
though? I don't understand
I mean,
that argument. Like, why would do
this
I mean,
isn't-
Todorag,
or not?
Yeah.
House
I mean-
doesn't fucking care if you play the server or if you like do any of this. He's just hosting it.
If you tell somebody that you're about to, like, make a bunch of really bad changes to the server in advance, how does that help them to not be pissed about it? Like,
well, it makes it easier to swallow, I guess.
people would be mad about this no matter, like, although maybe if he explained it a little bit better, like maybe if he said,
No.
okay, this is necessary because the EULA
Well, I
is
don't-
cracking down on me, or, you know,
I think
Yeah,
it's hard
then I
because-
think people would have been less mad, but also maybe the possibility to give him feedback instead of just like, you know, he does his thing, we do our thing, you know.
Well,
Maybe make the relationship between us and the community more dynamic.
if you think about
There's
it, like, House did tell us though, like, you know, shop owners or like people with large stashes, they would have just like tried to avoid losing all their items. They would just spread
Oh,
it
yeah.
out. Like
It would have
they'd
caused
just,
so
like-
much panic.
Yeah, like it would just reverse anything House was trying to do, and then he'd have to do something else. Right?
There's one thing that someone said in the Discord. There was a bunch of Masons arguing about this, and some guy's like, "I came to this server to keep my progress on it, and now I'm losing my progress." And some guy just responded, "2B2T, you know, the owners, they don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about your mission, and they don't even really care if you join or not." And I think that was like sort of a brutal slapdown, but I think there's some truth to that. Like, they don't care about you as an individual. The only thing that House cares about is if thousands of people buy priority. And as it stands right now, thousands of people are buying priority. That fucker's making tens of thousands per month. That's the only real, like, indicator of if the server's going to die or not.
So if you don't
Yeah.
like the changes, guys, don't buy
Cryo. That's basically what people are doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what they're attempting.
There's a whole
That's
boycott
the only
going
real
on
way
right
to
now
make
and
change.
everything.
That's like
So another
normal
interesting
practice
thing that
too.
I want to bring up is the fact that there are now official rules, which previously were only kind of shadow rules. Like previously
They just
there
weren't
there
written
were
down.
rules, but you basically weren't allowed to talk about them. And now there's a rules tab basically on the website.
Yeah, I think that's a direct response to EULA issues.
Yeah.
And I think there's a moral. There's actually sort of a there. The rule should be like, remember, it is a block game, and I think the community that sounds like something that the community has said themselves. So I don't really have a problem with the rules. I think like
I'm just
my
pointing
personal
it out.
problem
I don't have
with
a problem with
yeah,
it. I'm
I
just
mean,
pointing it out.
Yeah.
no,
I think
my
the rules
personal
are a
problem
step in the right
with
direction.
yeah, like my personal problem with the server administrator has always been that the rules have been inconsistently applied and haven't been applied in very serious like circumstances, right? And it now sounds like that they will be. So that's actually a good change because there is a line to. I mean, it is a video game, and people should appreciate that.
If people are doxing or throwing around IRL information or doing other fucked up things, then absolutely they shouldn't be allowed to play here. And I think everyone's going to agree with that.
Yeah.
But
I think overall having extra transparency when it comes to having the rules being like, hey, this is what's allowed, this is not what's allowed. Even still, I think with the way the rules are written, they're written in a vague enough term that you could get away with getting rid of somebody, say that, they might do something that is against EULA but is not specified in the rules. They're still vague enough that someone could go through and be, I guess, banned, muted, what have you, because of X rule.
it might be like, oh, you loaded too many chunks too fast, you were lagging the server, and we think that you did that on purpose to lag the server, and so now you're prio banned.
Yeah.
Now I remove elytras.
Or oh, you duped those items? That's not allowed. Banned.
Yeah. Like they're vague enough to the point where he could get away with abusing them if he felt inclined to do so.
Yeah, but he abused them anyway, so like, not a lot has changed.
At the very least, the silver lining
that-
is that there's written rules.
Sure.
Yeah, at least
My
there's-
one
at least
worry
they're
about
there
that
now.
whole thing is that it feels like we're being incentivized to build big farms.
We are.
But I hope
Which
that
lag.
Housemaster isn't going to crack down on you and ban you if you make a farm that's too
Well,
efficient.
Herm,
you know what I
all
mean?
you have to do is leave a signboard that says House, Freudian slip, House, you caused this. The only reason that I'm building this massive lagging farm is because of your rules. And once he reads that sign at your base, he'll be okay.
That's true. He'll just
I
read
think part of that
once
as well
once Herm
is-
reads the sign, he will spare your face.
I think part of it as well is I'm not 100% sure entirely how it works, but from my understanding, a plugin called Folia was added, which enables multi-threading.
There's a raid bar on my
Totally.
Herm, can you
Dang it.
stop?
But
Sorry,
from my
Herm is a
understanding,
live streaming kind of guy.
Yeah. But from
But
my
yeah,
understanding,
Folia.
how Folia works is it's multi-threading for CPUs, which were previously limited to a single core. But now, I'm not certain what core he has, but there's an extra 20 or so that he has access to use, which, I mean, with 300-something people that are on the server currently, with the number of mobs that have increased, with everything else, and the server is still maintaining 20 TPS, I think those have allowed the ability for farms to be something that don't lag the server. And I think that is what House is going for with the limiting of items, is that he's saying, hey, I'm limiting these items, but I'm giving you not complete, but significantly more freedom when it comes to redstone machinery, farms, mobs, etc.
I
Well,
hope
we'll
so.
see. We'll have to wait and see if people get prio banned for building huge farms or not.
I really
Yeah.
hope so. I hope that a lot of these things that used to be disabled or hard to do or bannable. I hope it's just easier to play the server.
Hmm.
Also, they raised the player cap by up to like I saw like 325 today.
Here's
Yeah.
an annoying change, right? Name tags are gone now, right?
No,
No,
they're
they've,
reduced to one.
Yeah.
They're reduced.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's like the
reduced-
it's
Well,
like the
I
end
guess that's
crystals.
like
a list
prevent
of all the
people
shit
from-
that's been
No, not
removed.
sorry, not name tags the item, name tags the hack.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, right. Yeah, you
That
can't.
was-
Velocity is
No.
gone too.
That was done with player obfuscation.
Player obfuscation.
Yeah.
So you used to be able to, see people's armor, people's health, and you can't do that anymore.
How
Is
many
that correct?
items they were
Yeah.
holding? I think that is.
See, I
interesting.
think that's a dumb change. Like, why?
That's one of those things like X-ray or death messages that I think is just completely a misstep.
It's weird.
What about
it's
the-
No
dumb
more like
item.
durability.
What about the Ender Dragon being respawned? Is that a weird? Why is that?
Mm.
Why did they do
I
that?
Based
don't know.
good, based
I don't
good.
even get really what that
We love
means.
the Ender
It's
Dragon.
already possible to spawn in the Ender Dragon.
Old gateways were broken due to bedrock breaking exploits. Players may now fight the dragon to spawn new gateways. So, I'm not sure exactly what that means. I'm not aware about how those were broken.
There was
well-
this old like thing where you were able to break bedrock. Like I
I
think they
think
took it
Moonshine break them, like the group.
It was Armor Smith.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean the end has been fucked for years now, and this just seems like he's unfucking it,
Yeah.
Attempting to.
attempting it.
Yeah.
All right, let's kind of wrap up the discussion. I think we all share our opinions. We all had some interesting takes. A large portion of the community is very, very pissed about this, but today on this panel you heard some voices that maybe gave you some rays of hope, or maybe the other side of the story of why you don't necessarily need to be this outraged. But I for one am definitely upset about some of the changes, but some of them are understandable. It's a mixed bag. Let's go around and do final thoughts for everyone, and then we'll end.
Good idea.
So let's go left to right.
I think at the end of the day, no matter what, people are going to be upset about the changes, but I think that overall the changes are a positive for the server, for its health, and in the long run for the players who actively play and participate in the community. And I think that people should, one, form their own opinions, and that I think we have provided a lot of different dissenting opinions about this, and that you should form your own opinions based off of our opinions and the different information and everything that we have provided.
I think I'm not happy with some of the changes that were made. There are some good changes, getting rid of the, what are they called? The sky stingrays.
Phantoms.
The Phantom.
Getting rid of phantoms, very good change. I hate those. Deleting some of the chunks that haven't been visited in years, or are just players traveling for like 1 second through a chunk. Like, okay, I understand like why that may need to be done, just to reduce the size of the actual server so it was possible to update. Like, okay, some of these changes I can understand, and I can see why they were done. The one thing I'm hung up on, the biggest sticking point for me, is the item reductions.
Yep.
I think that was unnecessary, and that alone is what has caused 90% of the outrage. I think
Yep.
if that change hadn't been made, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. We would be enjoying the server, having fun. So if you want to see changes made, then if you want to see this change reverted, I would say email Housemaster or don't buy Prio. But that's just my opinion.
I think it's a very fair comment.
Mm-hmm.
Most
Okay.
people agree with you.
Yeah, I think that's how most people take it, and that's why they pissed.
Okay, go ahead, Herm. What's your final thoughts?
Sure. As the official, unofficial representative of Housemaster, I would just like to take a second to thank most of the people on the panel for selling out. You will be rewarded for sharing the opinions you shared publicly. At the end of the day, though, I think my opinion just kind of comes down to the concept of evolve or die, right? These things change, and if you leave the server, it'll just go on without you. And I'm going to have a great time with the changes personally, and I'm excited for the future of 2B.
Hey D, can you name this video "Evolve or Die," please?
What is that?
Can you name the the title of this?
Die? No, I'm gonna call it like 2B2T Apocalypse Roundtable Discussion.
All right.
And
So anyone who's made it to the end of this conversation, it's really called "Evolve or Die."
Okay,
Yeah.
Orson appears to be deafened, so he's just getting excluded. Let's go to Pasto.
I'm gonna say that I was thrown in this last second, so my thoughts are not built up. So that's why I didn't speak much, because also English not my first language. But yeah, I think everything sounds pretty like you, Arm, and fucking Sirach all pretty resumed everything I had to say about this.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've been a valuable member of the discussion. I'm glad you were here.
Posto,
yeah, I was
your
kinda
English
thrown-
is great. Your English is great.
Yeah,
I
your
know.
English is
Yeah,
fine.
my English is fine, but it's making my ideas back in English in my head. That's odd.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't speak much. Also, I was thrown in here last second, like I said.
Thank you for joining.
Okay, Soiled, you're up next, man.
Right. I mean, I had the changes weeks in advance, so I had my time
Herm,
to.
Herm, I'm gonna get a squirt bottle for you, Herm.
Honestly, my opinion, I feel like everything other than the whole item reduction, like, you could obviously find pros and cons and everything. Like, I see more, it's kind of, I'm 50-50 split on the item stuff, but from a shop perspective, like, I think shop owners need to understand that, like, there's like the saying in economics, like the invisible hand, right? If there is a demand for items, there will be. I mean, if there's a demand for items, people will buy up items, right? Even if it's less, the price will just go up, right? So if anything, like now, maybe a shulker of 16 fireworks, like a bunch of them, is still gonna be worth the same, right? Or even now, like people just buy more of it, right? So even though you have less items, like technically people will still just buy more because they need to refill their inventories. So from that extent, good. Other extent, some people just got their whole stashes wiped, so sucks for you. But that's a pretty sucky move on Housemasters' part. But other than that, that's my opinion.
All right. Todorek, go ahead.
I guess to wrap it up, I would just like to say that I guess the opinions we've said here are not that popular right now. It's only been like 12 hours since the update dropped. Like, this is a very sort of like last minute discussion. I guess maybe last minute is not the right, very early discussion. And I'm honestly surprised with how level-headed everyone has been in here. And this might be a pretty bold prediction, but I think most of the community might come around to this more level-headed approach. Like, let people sleep on it. It hasn't even been 12 hours. Let people sleep on it. Let people think about it. Give people a few days, a few weeks, a few months. I think most people might tend to agree with what we've said here. And we all agree that there's stupid decisions, like X-ray, death messages, green text, and chunk seed sort of stuff is really stupid, and everyone agrees with it. Item stuff. But it's not all doom and gloom, I think.
Well,
and I think it's just the dawn of a new age.
Also, I think we didn't say, basically with the seed changing, is that I think House did that so people wouldn't look the map on like seed finders.
Yeah, that's actually a good change because it's saving map art.
We didn't discuss that, but I'm actually secretly raging at that. I'm raging at that because I use that so much.
Yeah, you could use that to find the biome you wanted, but now you can't.
That's how I decided to found bases. Like, I looked, whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for watching. If you made it all the way to the end of this discussion, please remember to like, comment below how you feel about the changes. Let us know, and remember to share this with your friends as well. Thanks for watching, everyone.
House
Very
is
young
the
thug.
anti